Hey YouTube, welcome to another Green Dragons Gaming Club Battle Report. Without us, they'd never feel like winners. Without them, we couldn't look so good. This is another Pretty Boy Bat Rep, and this is Game 4 of Brawler's Bash. I just got my ass kicked Game 3, and we'll see if I can bounce back a little bit here. So this is my list. If you've been watching the other videos, you know what it is. If not, take a moment to pause and look it over. And Game 4, I matched up to play Mark Graham and his Dread Elves. I do know Dread Elves very well, but to be honest, this is not an ideal matchup for me, and you'll see why shortly. So, I will point out right away we did something wrong. We were actually supposed to do the front line, or the classic deployment, and for whatever reason, we thought that we were doing the diagonal deployment. So, that's our bad, but that's how we played it. Anyway, this is his army. On his left, he's got a Hydra. Then he's got a Kraken, a Bolt Thrower, 5 Dark Raiders. Then he has a big old unit of Tower Guard with his General in there, and his General's the net build, the Crimson Mail and Headsman's Axe and all that good stuff. Behind him, he's got a BSB, a Cold Priest on an altar. Then he's got a huge unit of like 44 Spearmen. And in front of them is another unit of Dark Raiding Chaff, another Bolt Thrower, more Dark Raiders. Behind them is a unit of 20 Executioners. And then he's got another Hydra. And then you can kind of see them, they're blocked out a little bit, is a unit of Raven Cloaks. And then off the picture, all the way to the right, there's Dark Raiders, and you'll see them later. So, we're up nice and close to each other, and I'm terrified of his list. Everything in his army can basically shred face except for his chaff and his bolt throwers. Everything in his army is going to go before me. It's all higher initiative. He's hitting on like 2s and 3s. Pretty much everything's hitting on 2s except his spearmen. And yeah, just anything I can get into combat with him, he's going to essentially kill the whole unit before I get to go. And he's got 3 monsters. He's got some shooting. Even though I have a lot of anti-chaff, he has 4 units of chaff essentially, so he can win the chaff war. That's a tough matchup. The only thing I'm thankful for is, 1, that I know Dread Elves well, and 2 is that I brought some shooting. I mean, if I really just brought a pure close combat army, I really don't know what I'd do against this. It'd be tough. So my thought right now is I need to stay very far away, hit him with my magic, hit him with shooting, and I gotta whittle these guys down and get some favorable matchups, hopefully with charges into his flanks and stuff like that if I can get around, but it's gonna be tough. Anyway, this is my deployment. You could see my Grotlings had vanguarded up already and scouted. So I got Pac-Man all the way left. I got my Cave Trolls kind of behind the ruins there. There's really not a good place to put them. I'm just trying to keep them away from the Executioners because they have Lethal Strike. But yeah, so they're over there. They're going to help hold my flank. And I can put my 2 characters, my General and my BSB, behind them so that if he wants to if he wants to shoot them with bolt throwers, they're going to get hard cover. So I'm okay with that. I got my Scrap Wagon hanging out in the back. Got my Wolf Chariots up front leading the way. I'm going to lose them. I just want to ram something and take out a bunch of bodies before they go down. My Feral Orcs are in the middle with my National Wrecking Team in front to block them from Frenzy charging something stupid. And I put them into ranks because I have a feeling I'm really going to need my ranks this game. I got my Cave Goblins then with Twitch in it. And then the one good thing on my side is I have this gigantic, and I mean absolutely gigantic hill. And it is War Machine Hill. I put all 3 of my artillery pieces on there and my crossbows on there. I couldn't have asked for anything better. And it's behind my lines. And then on this right flank, there's an impassable piece of terrain which really helps to secure my position with those War Machines even better. And I throw the National Wrecking Team over there to try to keep as much shooting away from him as possible, and then I put my monsters on this side. I threw down my whole army first because I really wanted to get first turn, and I figured putting 2 monsters on this side is pretty much going to deter most things he would want to put over there, and if I can get them around the flank, that might give me some options then. So we'll see. Yeah, so this is my turn 1. So before I get into this, I'll just say that for our missions, I chose the mission where I want to kill his general. I only had 2 cards left. I had that one, or I had the one where if I keep my wizard alive, I get 1,000 points, and then my gimmick is that he has like a higher chance of miscasting the first turn, but he brought no magic. So if I kill his general, I get an additional 1,000 points, which is good because he's in that unit of tower guard. I kind of need to crack that unit to get a lot of points anyway, so that's fine with me. My general can be +1 leadership for 1 turn. I completely forget about it, but it doesn't really matter. Now, what he did was, which was really smart, is he decided to go after my biggest or my most expensive unit, which is my feral orcs. If he gets them down to half strength or less, he gets 1,000 points, and it gives him the option that he can choose to go first or second, regardless of the drops. So he actually decided to go first, which is smart because he can press on me quickly. I'm going to have less chance to shoot at him, 1 turn less of magic and shooting. And I realize at this point that I haven't used my Lucky Day card yet. And the Lucky Day card, you can re-roll 1 2d6 roll, or you can use it to stop your opponent from using a special rule that's given on one of the cards. And I decided I really needed to use it. So I said, nope, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to use this. I'm taking first turn. I really need my first round of shooting. So at least that worked out. This is my turn 1. Pac-Man moves up aggressively because the hill is blocking him from any meaningful charges, and he can kind of face out. The Groundlings move up because I know he's going to start marching things up, and at least it'll impede his movement. If he wants to charge them, then maybe I have some options. The National Wrecking teams throw themselves forward. I'll probably just kill Chaff with them. Everything else pretty much stays in place. I have no intentions of getting closer to him with anything meaningful. And I march my monsters, though, around the impassable terrain. And yeah. So we go into magic, and I get a couple spells off with Pyromancy. I'm able to do 3 wounds to this bolt thrower. So I don't quite kill it. And then between magic and shooting, I kill this unit of Dark Raiders. I was just rolling poorly with my shots, and I really needed to kill them off because there was just 1 guy left, and I don't want to lose a National Wrecking team to just 1 Dark Raider. So I was able to kill off the last guy, I think, maybe with a Get Launcher shot or something. So not too shabby. And then I think with magic I do 1 wound to his BSB on the altar, which isn't a bad thing either. That's about it, though. On his turn, yeah, he charges forward. Why not? So those Grotlings are going to die. That's it for charges. In the movement phase, he moves one of his Dark Raider units on there, and they explode. And then he moves his Raven Cloaks onto this one, which I'm actually okay with. I mean, granted, it's a cheap unit, and they are chaff, but they're actually pretty solid in combat, and they're really good at shooting, so I don't mind clearing out some of the chaff on that side. I'll take the trade. And he pushes forward. Mark is not being shy. He shoves his spears forward. He's shoving his monsters down my throat. The Hydra and the Kraken are up on the hill now, looking at Pac-Man in the flank. The other Hydra's coming up dead center. Yeah, he's just moving things up. Executioners go forward. He moves the Dark Raiders over on that flank over to try to march block me a little bit, and just take some pot shots, which is not a bad idea. And okay, so I am missing a couple pictures from this game. It's no big deal. I was just still having issues with my phone, but nothing really of substance happens. He doesn't have magic, and his shooting was pretty ineffectual. His bolt throwers really didn't do much, and his other shooting is just with his Dark Raiders. So we go into my turn, and he, needless to say, kills the Grotlings, so I have no chaff left. And at this point, I have nowhere to go. He's charging something with those Tower Guard. Whatever he charges is going to die. So I figured maybe I need to be the aggressor here. It is Brawler Bash. Play a little risky, and I take a risk. My plan is, or my plan was, I should say, was Pac-Man would charge the flank, Chariots in the front, General into the front. Now, he's going to issue a challenge with his General, because his General is an absolute beatstick, and he's going before my guys, unfortunately. Even with the Potion of Swiftness on my General, he's still initiative 8. He's going first. My plan is that Pac-Man would accept, probably die. Maybe if I'm lucky, he does a wound with his impact hit. If I'm really lucky, he can kill his General, but that's being a little too hopeful, especially since he has Hatred the first round of combat. Meanwhile, my General and my Chariots go to town on the unit. I'm going to win combat. He's not going to go anywhere, but now that unit's combat ineffective, his Spearmen can't charge the flank because they're just too big. The Hydra's in the way. And the bolt thrower's in the way, so they just can't wheel. And if they go after the Feral Orcs, I think I'm actually okay with that, because they're just Spearmen. There's nothing special about them. I think I win that fight. Now, the issue is, right, he kills Pac-Man this term, and then the next term, I'm going to have to accept with my General. If he doesn't have Hatred, I was doing the math, and I think more times than not, he only does 1 wound with his attacks. Because I do have a ward save, so he probably only does 1 wound, which is going to rack up to 2, and I'll still have 1 wound left. I strike back, and with so many attacks at high strength, I'm just going to kill him. So that was my plan. And it was a pretty bold plan, but I think it could work to break that unit. Well, you know what they say about best laid plans. So, as you can see, Pac-Man didn't make it. I needed to roll a 4, and I rolled a 3 on Swift Stride. Damn you, Pac-Man. Damn you. So he trudges forward and trips over his jockstrap right in front of both of his monsters, which are facing him in the flank. So Man Munch and my Chariots go in alone, and to add insult to injury, my General takes a wound going through the dangerous terrain in the ruins. I know that was a possibility. I was thinking it's, a 1 in 3 chance, and then I have a ward save, but no, he takes it. And now that goes that plan about him possibly surviving 1 round of combat with his General. The only good thing is that the way I lined him up is his General's not in contact with my General, and so you'll see what I do later in combat. But yeah, now I'm in trouble. I marched the trolls up. Because, there's really nothing else for them to do if they... And I'm figuring maybe I can take one of these combats. But to be honest, I was being hopeful too, because the Hydra's got a breath weapon. And yeah, it's just bad. Oh, I know what I was thinking. I was figuring that if my plan had worked out... I'm sorry. I charged with the trolls, and the trolls failed their charge. Okay, that's what happened. So they moved up, and I figured even if they fail, with the other plan working out, my General will still be around, even if he charges with the Hydra. Maybe I could stick around because I have the General and the BSB nearby. But in any case, they failed their charge, and I really needed them to make it. Over here, yeah, my main units kind of sit back. I actually moved my goblins a smidgen back just so his executioners can't get an easy charge. I need my magic to come through. The giant has too long of a way to go around the impassable terrain, They both pass their march tests, and he comes over this way. So if he tries to get into my rank and file, the giant's in his flank, and the spider's going to pressure his other units forward. Oop, went a little far. Okay. So in Magic, I get Immolation off right in front of his spearmen, which is perfect. If he wants to charge forward into those Feral Orcs, I think that's just a really unsavory charge now, because he's probably going to lose like 8 guys at least going through that. And then you can see I delete half of the Executioner unit, and his spearmen are fleeing, and something else is missing. So let me explain all this. So in Magic, Twitch goes crazy after laying down Immolation. He then does a big Pyroclastic Flow and destroys half of that Executioner unit, which is awesome. Then I go into shooting, and my Catapult lands a huge rock on top of his altar, which already had 1 wound on it, and I crush it, and his BSB dies. Well, he has to take panic tests, and he doesn't have a reroll, and he rolls like an 11, and his spearmen flee. They just outright panic. Wow. Good luck for me, terrible luck for my opponent. I mean, I did deter them, at least for a turn, but that's just a huge chunk of points that's running the wrong way. In shooting, I'm picking away at these guys, but 1 lives, and I kill the other bolt thrower that had a wound left. So we go into combat. The chariots only kill like 5 guys. It was kind of underwhelming. And then what I do is, because his general's not in contact with my general, he challenges and I just decline. And you might be scratching your heads, but no, I figured I would win this combat. I need to at least hold them up. And he's only strength 4, I'm toughness 6. So yeah, auto hit me. You know, I just have a hard time believing he's going to get much through. And he didn't. He didn't do any wounds to me. So I won by like 1, probably 1 or 2. If that. And I stick. And then he just kind of reforms like that. So this is Dread Elf's turn. Yeah, his sea monster charges Pac-Man in the flank. At this point, I'm cheering for him, hoping Pac-Man will die for screwing me over. His Hydra charges the trolls. That's not good. He moves his 1 Dark Raider up into the ruins. I think he's just trying to chaff up my BSB so I can't charge into the Tower Guard, but I have no intentions of throwing him into that fray. Man Munch is on his own. Top corner, you can see that his Spearman unit, they're still running. They didn't rally. Oh my gosh, I really felt for him at this moment. I mean, those guys are cowards. Just couldn't make a leadership test. Over here, he moves his Hydra around to threaten my Gargantula. He marches up the Executioners, I think, as much as he could. Either that or he failed to charge, I don't remember, but he was aggressive with them one way or the other, because he knows that they're getting to the point where they're combat ineffective now. He might have tried to charge them and he just failed to see if he could long bomb it and execute Twitch for doing what they did to his unit. And then he marches these guys around to threaten my artillery. Nothing happens in Magic or shooting, and we go into combat, and yeah. Oh, exactly what happened is what I predicted. He did 1 wound. Because he didn't have hatred, I made a ward save and he did 1 wound, so it multiplied to 2. If I hadn't taken a DT, I likely would have won this combat and killed his general. But such is life. It was a risky play. Didn't work out for me. And yeah, my Man Muncher got punked. So down he goes. This, on the other hand, was incredible. Oh my gosh. My poor opponent's bad luck continues. He just flubbed. He got 2 hits with the Kraken, which is average. But then he strength 7, so he only needs 2s to wound. I think he rolled like a 1 initially, and then with the Bluffer's Helm, he rolled a 1 on the reroll and just did nothing. I don't think Pac-Man did anything back to him, even with the Potion of Strength popped, but He won by 2 for charge and a flank, and I passed my leadership 6 test, so we just stuck. I think I then passed my test to reform as well, which is just crazy. So, Pac-Man's just being a jerk. Yep, and the Hydra wins, mostly due to his breath weapon. I do a couple wounds, but yeah, my general's gone. Their leadership 4, but with, you know, the Hydra winning, they were auto-breaking, and he runs them down. Alright, Orc and Goblin turn. My BSB obviously wants nothing to do with the Tower Guard, but I have no problem taking out this Bolt Thrower, so he goes in. And then over here, this was nice. I charge with the Spider into his Executioners. They flee, and they end up fleeing towards my Feral Orcs, and then my Feral Orcs charge, and they catch them and kill them. So that was nice. And then I throw my Scrap Wagon to the Hydra. It has 3 wounds left. I know it has regen, but hey, it's Brawlers, and so what if I lose 90 points? Let's see if I can take this thing down. And then this is movement, so I move my Goblins up, kind of just to fill that gap, and so I can throw spells. There's nothing for Ned to do there, so he's going to come around and face off against the Hydra. And just in case those spearmen rally, he might be able to go after them. I do a swift reform with my crossbow orcs, because they're very prideful about defending War Machine Hill, and they're not going to let this little unit go around and steal all their war machines out from under them. I kill 2, and they panic. They're not off the board yet, but they're close. So that was great. And then, yeah, I mean, this was just concentrated firepower into one unit. I was throwing all my magic, all my shooting. By the way, Pyromancy is just brutal this game. I mean, it's not surprising because it's elves, but yeah, it was rough. So about half the unit's dead there, and then I continue, and he's only got about 5 guys left in his general. That unit is now completely combat ineffective. His general is all he's got, really. And then this was funny. I only do 1 wound to the Bolt Thrower. I think I took a wound from DTs or something, and so I win by 2, and he passes this leadership check. So they're stuck in a pillow fight there. Oh, man. And then let's see. Okay, so this is a bad picture. But what happens here is the Hydra kills the Scrap Wagon. I do 2 wounds, not enough to kill it. He's hanging on to life. So that was sad. But then, against all odds, in the combat with the Kraken and Pac-Man, Pac-Man's able to do, I think, 2 wounds to the Kraken, and he again just can't get any wounds through on me. I mean, this monster should have killed Pac-Man on the turn he charged, if not broke him and run him down. He's strength 7, he does D3 wounds per wound. I mean, I'm making some clutch armor saves, and I think I made a ward save at one point, but he was also just rolling poorly. And then I went back, Pac-Man did a couple wounds, and he broke, and Pac-Man ran him down and killed the Kraken. What a little jerk that guy is. He had no right to survive, let alone get those points, but he did, and yeah, talk about, you know, dice getting hot this game for me. So going to Dread Elf's turn, Mark charges his Hydra into Ned, the giant. I'm actually okay with that. He thought that on paper the Hydra should win, because I mean he's got a ton of attacks, and I'm only T5. But the problem is that the giant is good against infantry, and he can be really good against monsters, especially if the monsters have low initiative, which the Hydra does. And half the time, I'm just going to negate the Hydra from being able to attack. So I actually think this favors me more than him. But we'll see what happens. He has that one Dark Raider just floating around. His Tower Guard just kind of sit. He moves his general out of the unit to face down my BSB, but again, I'm not going to fight with him. That guy is not to be trifled with. And his Hydra just moves up to try to get closer to my War Machines. And yeah, I missed a picture here. So this is my turn now. So, in the combat with the Hydra and the Giant, I did the smash. He actually passed his regen save, so I don't wound him, but he can't do any of his attacks. He wins by 1 because he charged. I'm stubborn 10. I passed my break test, so we stick there. So on my turn, regardless of what happened, whether I failed Frenzy or I charged, I think I just charged with them. The Feral Orcs charged the Tower Guard. They're immune to Psych. They can't flee. They run through a cone of fire, but they don't care at all. They're frenzied and they're crazy, and they just run through and they absolutely annihilate that unit, and they overrun near his last Dark Raider. Pac-Man starts to come the other way. My BSB just marches around his general and goes up on the hill. And then my goblins turn around to try to deal with this last Hydra that has a wound on it. I'm trying to kill it with magic. I fail. I then try to throw Mad Gits at it. They come up short. I try to shoot bows at it. Just can't kill the thing. Let's see. And then... So this is his turn. His Hydra, because I was unable to kill it, charges into the Git launcher, slaughters it, and overruns into my catapult, which is not great. His Dark Raiders had rallied, and then they kind of march around to threaten my War Machines again, with my Orcs facing the wrong way. And then, yeah, let's see. So then we get into the combat with my Giant and the Hydra, and I do the smash attack again, and I do a wound this time. He doesn't get any attacks. I win by 1. He breaks, and I run him down. So go Ned, taking down a Hydra. In my shooting phase, actually right before the Hydra slaughtered my Git launcher, I actually sniped out his general. Both my Git launchers shot at him, and Flying Goblin just killed him. Unbelievable. So his general's dead. My BSB, who was sitting over there, hunted down his last Dark Raider because he has the Skull Splitter shotgun, so he tried to move him away. I just ran after him and shot him. And now I'm just closing in on his last Hydra and those Dark Raiders back there. And I was able to defend War Machine Hill. I did lose 2 of my War Machines, but they still had the hill at the end of the game. What happened is Twitch, with Fire Magic, was able to put the last wound on his Hydra after he killed the catapult, and the Orcs shot off the last Dark Raiders. So that was all of his units. That I tabled him on turn 6, and this is an Orc and Goblin victory. Woo! So, I needed this. Game 3, I had been building momentum up before that, and I needed a big game. It was looking that way. Got my face kicked in, and then I came back and got this. So I still have 1 game left, and maybe I can salvage this tournament after all. So I got max points. I got his whole army, and I got 1,000 points and all the extra objectives you could get. I honestly don't remember what he got from me. I'm gonna say it's around 2,500 points. He did get my general. He got my trolls. He got a couple War Machines and some chaffy stuff. So something like that. So going into MVPs, for the Dread Elves, his 1 Hydra that was able to get into my backfield really did well for him. That guy killed a whole unit of trolls, which is a lot of points, and then he killed 2 of my War Machines. He killed my Scrap Wagon, so that guy was on a rampage. And then for me, it was really close. There was a lot of units that did well this game, but I think the 2 units that stand out is Twitch. just his pyromancy magic was just brutal this game. I mean, he made the executioner's combat ineffective. He killed most of that unit. He did the same to the tower guard. He killed off that last Hydra. He killed off a bolt thrower. Killed off some chaff. I mean, it was just brutal. Yeah, pyromancy is rough against elves, especially dread elves. But I kind of figure he has to share some of the fame with the artillery again. Second game in a row that they really shined. And I'm just treating them as a group. The catapult destroyed his BSB. The Git launcher sniped out his general. I mean, that's just a ton of points. And because the catapult killed his BSB, his giant block of spears ran off the board. I missed that picture, but yeah, in case you didn't catch on, they did not rally. He failed 3 consecutive leadership tests with them. Those guys, I wouldn't blame Mark if he never fielded those guys again. I mean, they just literally looked and saw the Cult Priest was gone and were like, nope, we're out. 44 guys just marched off the table. But anyway, so the artillery just got a tremendous amount of points. And honestly, without these two guys, I would have lost this game hands down. Despite my opponent's poor luck, I just had no other way to deal with his units. I really didn't. So what did we learn today? Let them burn. Pyromancy is still an amazing lore. I'm loving it more and more every time I use it. Obviously, it's really good against elves. Toughness 3, and they're also an elite army, so they don't have a lot of models. So if you can throw Enveloping Embers or a big Pyroclastic Flow, it's just rough. Or you pick apart with them with Scorching Salvo. Really helped me in this game. And between that and my shooting, like if I took a pure combat army, I didn't field artillery, I didn't really have any shooting units, I took shamanism instead, I would have been toast. There would have been no chance. My ranged won me this game. So segueing that into Orc and Goblin artillery, a lot of people don't really like the Orc and Goblin artillery, and there are a lot of lists where I see that no artillery is being fielded. I've always liked Orc and Goblin artillery because there's a variety. You got your catapult, you got your bolt thrower, and then the Git launcher is a unique one, which is my favorite because you can hunt knights and lone characters with it and stuff like that, and it's accurate. And yeah, I mean, again, in this game we see that the artillery really shined. It was really helpful in a big way. It's not always going to be that helpful, but if you can field 2 or 3 of them, it gives your opponent something to worry about, and usually they'll do something pretty big during the game. So, really, really glad I decided to bring artillery to this tournament. As I said, Dread Elves are a terrifying matchup for Orcs and Goblins. They're fast. Everything, in their armies going before our guys, and they're going to just slaughter our units wholesale before we even get to fight back. So if you don't have that ranged, or if you don't have just superior position on them, you're really in a tough place. And this game, I was just staring down at a wall of just these elite combat units that I really was gonna have a tough time getting around. And yeah, and again, segueing, talk about another swingy game. I thought I was done. Turn 2, I thought I was toast. I thought when Pac-Man failed that charge, I thought I was screwed. Because I figured Pac-Man was going to die, I figured my general was going to die, the chariots were obviously going to die, and then I would just have nothing else to deal with his army. His spears could charge in and hold me up, and then his tower guard come in, and it's just a mess. Just going to wholesale slaughter me between the executioners and the monsters and the tower guard. But no, I mean, I did some things well this game that paid off. I took some risks here and there. I think I played it right, but on top of that, my opponent just had some bad luck, and that's just how it goes. I was obviously on the other side of that the game before. But really fun game. My opponent was great. Despite all the horrors that he faced in this game, he Was really cool about it. We hung out and talked after the game, got him a beer, and yeah, just a cool guy, fun game, and we'll see what happens in Game 5. So that's all I've got for today. Like, subscribe, do all the YouTube things, guys. If you have any comments, please leave them below. I appreciate any feedback, whether it be about the battle reports, things you like, you don't like, things I should do differently, tactics advice, list building advice, anything like that. Feel free. And until next time, peace.